Hello and welcome to Tenacious Dev Vlog number 9. So the game is now in polish mode, so all the work that's being done for the foreseeable future is going to be stuff to make the game look good, adding options, and just generally making it feel and play better. So the first thing that I want to highlight for this sprint is this new main menu. As you can see, we have a lot of different buttons here. Still waiting on the new button sprites, so these green buttons won't be here. They're not permanent. So here's our main menu. We can go into the game with the continue button, and then we have a little sub menu here when you press escape that has similar options here. So I'm going to go back to quit, and yeah, that's basically it. So this is just a nice little way to get the game started, and then that leads right into this options menu. So we have this options menu here, which allows us to change a couple settings here. So we have our music control. I'm not going to slide this because I have background music going in the video right now. I don't want it to clash, but that controls the music volume, and then we have our sound effects volume, which we can control separately, which is things like hit effects and when legendary items drop, when you forge something, you know, things like that, UI button clicks. And then we have our disable sound button, which will disable all sound, so independent of the sliders here. And then we have our window mode. Again, this is placeholder. This is using the Godot default UI. This all will be replaced in the future. But we have windowed, full screen, or borderless windowed. I'm not going to change those right now because that will screw up my recording. But all these options work, and they are there. And then we have our input remapping, aka our keybinds menu. Again, these text boxes are placeholder. They're using the Godot default UI. But as you can see, we have all of our actions on the left here. So we have our ability armor, ability trinket, etc., ability helmet, and you can rebind all of these. So if I wanted to rebind my helmet ability to F1, I could do that, and then I have a reset button here that will set it back to the default. The conditions for the input remapping are that these inputs cannot be empty. I don't think there's a way to actually make them empty, but it still does a check anyway. And you can't have two keybinds that are the same. If I bind move left to A and move right to A, it gives me this error that says keybinds must be unique, and I cannot save the options. So if I get stuck, I can just say reset, and that will reset the move right back to the D key, and I can save that. And those options will persist between playthroughs. Alright, the next thing that I want to highlight is you can see the shadows are now jagged instead of smooth. I still have a little bit of work to do on the shadows, but for the most part they look pixelated like they should. This was as a consequence of figuring out how to use viewports correctly as render targets. So I'm basically drawing a circle to a viewport and then using the viewport texture to draw the shadow. Another minor change that was done is portal animations. So we have keeper portal animations, and now we have portal animations for player travel. So if I go into this portal and I press Z, I spin into the portal and I come out, and then I'm in the world, and all portals will function like that now. Yeah, so really small change, but it just adds that little bit of extra polish, as is the goal for this sprint. Okay, and the last thing I want to highlight is the pumpkin boss. So I didn't show him last time because I didn't have art for him. Unfortunately, I still don't have art for him. It is coming, it's in process right now. But I still want to highlight his basic abilities so that way we can see what's going on. So the first thing is what you just saw. He shoots pumpkin seeds in a bullet hell style that you have to dodge. And he will spawn these vines that grow that have pumpkins on them. And when I step on the pumpkin, it will spawn a pumpkin spawn. Now the pumpkin spawn, they have melee and range attacks. Basically they will shoot seeds at you and they will smack you when you get close. Yeah, and then the last ability of the pumpkin is he will burrow into the ground and spawn out more pumpkin spawns. So he just did it there. Let me see if I can get him to do it again. It's very hard to dodge all these things, but okay, there he goes. Yeah, he just spawned a bunch of pumpkin spawns. You're gonna have to try to avoid the pumpkins on the ground while also avoiding projectiles and the pumpkin spawn melee attack. So that's the pumpkin. Okay, and finally taking a look at the Trello board. We have, so a couple other things I want to mention. I basically covered all this. I fixed a bug where projectiles can sometimes fly through walls. It was a very like edge case bug where if you were up against the wall just right and you threw some projectile just right, it could end up going through some walls. So I believe that's finally fixed. There was an issue where the legendaries that were dropped didn't show their legendary beam. That was also fixed. And I fixed the issue where exported project will start with the top left corner in the middle of the screen. So that should be fixed as well. Okay, so looking at the in progress, Pumpkin Boss is still marked as in progress just because I need the art still. Once I implement the art, he can be moved over to the done. He needs a little bit of tweaking too, just number tweaking, but the gameplay is there. I'm happy with how he ends up playing out. And UI polish, there's some minor things I want to do here. Add some subtle animations, need button sprites, and allow scrolling of ability inspect. And the ability inspect is when you hover your mouse over your ability bar, it will show you what you currently have equipped. And so that box that shows up needs to be able to be scrolled. It currently can't. And then looking into the next up, we want to limit the number of enemy hit sound effects that play at once, so we're not getting like massive, you know, barrage of sounds when you're like damaging an enemy over time or something like that. We also have new enemy hit sounds that should sound a little bit better. Come up with a solution to compare gear quicker. So this is one of the big points of feedback. If there's gear on the ground, you really don't have a way of determining if it's better than the gear that you have. So planning on adding maybe just some little arrows or some plus symbols or something next to gear. I also want to add it to the vicinity UI, so that panel that shows up on the left. I want to do some color coding there and also some sorting to put the best stuff at the top, and also color it according to rarity. And finally, the next thing that we're going to be looking at doing is bosses should not spawn on top of the player. So currently when you kill all the enemies in a level, the boss will just spawn on your position immediately. I want to make that a little bit more dramatic and make them spawn near you instead of on top of you, and also give like a few seconds of padding between killing the last enemy and the boss actually spawning. They should come in with a boom rather than just immediately pop up there. And that's it for this dev vlog. If you guys are interested in trying the game, I just released a new alpha, I think a week ago. So it's pretty much up to date with the new content and new mechanics. The Pumpkin Boss is in that build, so if you want to try it, please feel free to do so. Hop on over to the Twitch channel. I stream every Monday through Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. And there's a Discord server that you can join as well to discuss anything about the game, anything about Godot, or anything really. So thanks everyone for watching. I appreciate your interest in Tenacious, and I hope to see you on the stream.